Hi, this is Mick from Janty. I'm here today to show you the MiD software interface and also how to program the MiD1. It is very advanced, but at the same time it's also very easy. Now basically what you're seeing in front of you is the MiD software interface. We're not going to focus too much on all the other details of it. Right now we're just going to focus on profile and real-time monitoring. Now this software is still in beta, so this means that even though we have all functions working perfectly, what you're seeing right now is the graphical user interface, and this was just released to me about half a day ago. So we still have a lot of little things that has to be put in the right spots and so on, but all of this will of course be ready for launch without any problems. We just figured you guys would actually like to see, get an idea of what it can do and how it does so. What you're seeing in front of you right now is what you see when you get the MiD for the first time and you pull it out of the box, put batteries in, put a USB cable in, and you hook it up. Over here to the left, you have all the profiles. You can make new ones, save, delete, export, import. So if you look right here, you see black boxes, and here you see L1, R2, R1, L2. Basically what this means is that the black boxes resides on my computer right now. I can have unlimited profiles here. The L1 and L2 means left 1, left 2. R1 and R2 means right 1 and right 2. Now these profiles are the profiles that are on the MiD itself. So these 4 profiles being pulled from it right now. I have test 1 and test 2 with something in them. I don't have anything in R2 and L2. What L1, L2 and so on means is that on the go, when you're not attached to a computer with the MiD series, you can change between profiles by clicking to the right side and change between R1 and R2, or clicking to the left side and choose between L1 and L2. Now the reason for doing so is that it's easier to remember that maybe you have all your hot profiles on the right side and you have the colder profiles on the left side, or maybe you have the profiles you use the most on the right side and the more experimental ones on the left side. So in that sense it's easier to remember kind of the way you want to divide them rather than remember 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what we think, at least. Now what else you're seeing right here now is the MiD base. As you can see, the base section of things. This means that this is what you see if you haven't unlocked the MiD. The color selected means the LED. This is what your profile is going to show while you're vaping on it, so you can select any color you want from here. The voltage over here is the voltage you want to use, or if you use power, you can click power and it will all be shown in wattage instead. You can also drag the slider to actually show, let me just show you that, to actually select the voltage this way. So if you haven't unlocked the advanced profile editing, this is how you're going to do it. Basically your MiD at this point is a variable voltage e-cigarette with a very nice interface and the ability to adjust the LED in all colors, and the possibility to of course have 4 different profiles with different voltages on. If you however unlock the MiD Pro, the advanced editing software portion of the MiD, this is what you get. Let's try to actually explain this. All the profiles over here as I explained it before. You can still change between voltage and power by clicking here. This will just change this bar, but for now let's stay in voltage just to make this a bit easier on everybody. So the way a profile works is that you have 0 seconds to 12 seconds. This is your timeline. Once you press the button, it will go from left to right and it will execute everything it sees up here. And what it sees up here with these small black dots, let's actually zoom in a bit, is 1/10 of a second. All these little black dots are 1/10 of a second apart, and each one of them carries information. So right now it's telling the cigarette to vape at 4 volts all the way while being purple. Now to test this, we'll click save up here, send this profile to the MiD, and then let's actually rather quickly switch over to the monitoring side of things. On the monitoring side of things here we have atomizer resistance, battery voltage, battery life, and device temperature. These 4 I mentioned first because they're not properly interfaced yet to the graphical side of things, so we're still tweaking that, but the underlying side of it of course works. You can of course measure the atomizer resistance, see the device temperature and the voltage in live. Just not on the graphical side yet, since we're working on those things. Atomizer current, atomizer power, atomizer voltage. And then we have the warning symbols right here. Now the warning symbols will light up if something happens, if the device temperature goes nuts or the resistance becomes something that you define. We also in the middle have a big cross. The cross signifies, or actually shows the joystick of the MiD. The MiD has a joystick as a button, which means that if I click straight in the middle, it will light up blue in the middle and the atomizer voltage will go to 4. So let's try that. Clicking in the middle, you can see it highlights the blue here and it stays at 4 volts up here, and you can see that the LED is a nice purple color. So if we go back to profiling, what you can do when you want to edit your profile is basically cut, paste, copy and select all. We know these tools from word processing and Photoshop. Zoom in, zoom out, as you can see before. I can zoom in, I can zoom out, which is useful of course for editing small portions of data. You can also undo, as you can see here, undo, or you can redo if it wasn't a mistake after all. You can do increase and decrease. I'll get back to these, and you can do a number of predetermined graphs already. What I want to show you real quick is that you can also change the LED color for anything you want. You can either use the fixed colors. You will be able to pick any color you want to. You can also decide the saturation, the kind of power for that color, if you will, and you can do gradients. Upon release, or possibly a little bit later on, we will of course let you determine your own gradients, so you can pick exactly what you want. So let's actually go back and try to make a profile. The first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to select all, pick one color, and then I'm going to hit the flatten, which is just, it makes it even at 4 volts. Now the way I make my profiles is typically I zoom in on 1 second, I mark 1 second, I click zoom in. Then I take each point and I do something with it. So for instance, if I want to go to 8 volts here, I do that. Let's actually do it quite simple to begin with, so you can see what I'm doing here. Now I can select each of these points and color them differently, like so. I could also, if I wanted to, of course, simply do a drag and drop and select everything and do a gradient. You know, just do a nice green to blue. We can actually, let's zoom in again. So you kind of decide exactly how you want to color everything yourself. Let's try and do it like this to begin with. So now I'm going to save this one. Then I'm going to go over to monitoring. I'm going to click right in the middle and notice what happens over here and what happens on the LED. As you can see, it just hits 8 twice in a row. I'm not sure, by the way, that the camera recording software shows, you know, how fast this is in real time. So it will probably skip something, but you get the general idea. Let's just try to actually zoom out, pick all of this and increase everything. As you can see, increase and decrease lifts up stuff that you want to lift up. So we color this, for instance, white now. Yellow now. And we go back to monitoring. Press the button and you can see it's at 8 volts. And then it goes back to 4 as we want it to. Now, you can make pretty advanced things with this. First of all, let's go back to selecting one color again so you can all view this. And then you have the rest of the tools here. Now you have a ramp up, you have a ramp down. You can also select a portion and just actually make the predefined curves inside that portion only. You can of course also select everything you want. You can also click more options and do sines, you know, 2 sinus curves, 3, 4, do squares like so, triangles like so, and sawtooth like so. We also have samples. Now samples is, it might not look that exciting off the bat, but it is kind of some test profiles we made. As you can see, it's not very hot, it's below 2 volts. So what you can do is you can select all and you can then increase it to fit exactly where you want it to be. So let's actually try this one. So we click save on it. And it should be set that you can of course also stay in this part of it and actually click and view the gauges from here instead. But the portion of the real-time monitor that is cool is that you can view like everything from here, especially also the LED. Now you can see that the LED changes as well as the profile changes as it should. Now, one more cool thing about the editor, I mean, apart from being able to do very advanced stuff, is also that let's try to do this actually. Now, the way I do things is that I normally take all my atomizers. I have at least, let's say, this portion a bit more than half a second, where I begin with something that is pretty high up. Then I go quite far down. Then I go not that high up again, and then I go not that far down again. So this is my starter profile for a lot of my atomizers, and the reason for this is that some of them actually takes a while to kind of you know, you have to preheat them, right? So let's say that I suddenly want to use this portion in a different profile. Then you can see up here with the gray area, you can see here that I'm actually highlighting this portion. What I can do now is I can actually go to a different profile, and it will have highlighted the same portion. This means that if I go back to this part here, which I want to copy, I can actually copy this one, go to the other profile, and paste it. This means that you can actually steal the portions you want from which profiles you want to, and it's just very, very easy to do. You can of course also just basically do you know, stuff where you don't want to fill out an entire profile. You copy and then you click paste, and suddenly you have a full profile. You can also just highlight some parts of it and just go nuts with, you know, all the curves and all these things. And if you think that this sine curve, for instance, is too high, you can actually just decrease it. Or you could go the other way around. Of course, now we have the ceiling down here, so let's do that again. So, like so, and you can also increase it, which means it flattens out. So there's a number of things you can do with this, and as you can see, it's quite easy to do so. And it should also be said that all of these profiles, of course, if you save them directly on the MiD, they stay there. You can also save as and have them saved on a computer. You can export them for use on the community, which we'll come back to in a different video. And you can import others from the community to your device. So let's, for the fun of it, just take this massive profile right here, go to monitoring, and actually execute it. As you can see, it's pretty much going nuts and showing all the LED and doing everything that I asked it to do. Now, the last thing I want to show you guys is, let's select this one and actually return it to normal. Now, this is just a 4-volt profile. We also have a module out called real-time variable voltage, or real-time variable watts. What this does is it takes advantage of the joystick that's built into the MiD. This means that if we go to monitoring right now, if I click the button straight on, as you can see here, it goes to 4 volts. Now notice what happens, because this blue dot shows what I'm doing on the joystick. Now I'm going to click again, but this time I'm going to click up. Can you see that it turns up the heat? I can also pull down on it, and it actually goes down. I can also press up immediately, and it starts the profile from the 4 volts. It goes up. I can also pull down immediately, and it does the opposite. This also works if you have a profile that is actually, you know, doing something else than just that. So let's try to save this one. Now this profile is pretty simple. As you can see, I click straight on. It goes slowly up, and it builds up, and it goes all the way up to the top, and then it goes back down again. Let's say I have this profile on my my atomizer, and I'm vaping it, and you know, I have the real-time variable voltage. Suddenly I'm thinking, this is just not enough for me. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start it with the arrow up, which means that it actually turns up faster, but it follows that profile. I can then turn down and actually have it go the other way. Now the reaction time of this variable voltage is what you set it to. You can set it to be incredibly fast, or you can have it like I'm having it, which is not that fast. Actually, I like to feel that I'm doing it. I like to be kind of full in control with it. So as you can see, the reaction time of what I'm doing is, and the reason everything is taking a bit more time right now is because, you know, we're still fine-tuning the software. But if you see here, I'm clicking on it. If I push up, it's not that fast. I can also control this, as you can kind of see on the joystick. So, you know, all of this is actually the main idea about the MiD. More modules will come, specifically modules created from users, by users, for users, by the ideas of other users, and then hopefully we can integrate these. But we think that this alone is basically a revolution within vaping, because this allows you to kind of vape exactly how you want to. It's not very difficult to use, and it's actually very, very advanced. So we truly hope you enjoyed it, and we look forward to having you check out some of our other videos at some other time. So thank you, and see you later.